Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we take science and experience in the gym, apply those, and hopefully make you stronger. Today we're going to take a look at stretching and this question of should you stretch as a strength athlete? And we're going to look at the pros and cons, what some of the evidence says, and make a decision if it's right for you. Alright, so before we make the decision if you should stretch or not, we have to take a look as far as what is stretching and what are we trying to accomplish by going through these stretches. So here I drew a very simplified diagram of someone stretching their hamstring, right? Where you've got a straight back, you've straightened your legs, and you are stretching the back of your legs. Now, you can feel that motion or that feeling of the stretch in the muscle. And the goal usually for people stretching is to, slowly lengthen that muscle and get it used to a larger range of motion so that your body adapts and then goes through that range of motion better for the next time. Now, to understand what you're actually doing whenever you're what we call static stretching, that's when you are stretching against the muscle and holding it for a period of time, we're actually getting into the function of this thing called a Golgi tendon organ, or a GTO for short. Basically, these GTOs are connected between your tendon and your musculature at each of your joints. So you would have one here and you would have one here on your hamstring. And these things actually have a very important job. Essentially, if your muscle, in this example my bicep, is extended too quickly or has too much pressure against it, it is this Golgi tendon organ's job to relax your muscle so that you don't tear it off of the bone from too much pressure, right? So when you are static stretching, you're actually purposefully engaging that Golgi tendon organ to relax your muscle. That way you can go through an even further range of motion. That's why if you hold a stretch for a period of time, you might feel a release to where you can go just a little bit further, and that's as this response is happening, releasing your muscles from tensioning up. And just understand, this is a self-defense mechanism from your body. Because if you were in an emergency and your limb was ripped in a direction, this organ is essentially telling your muscles, hey, relax, there's no way we're getting this one back, so that your musculature doesn't get injured. Now, if we are manipulating this has some interesting applications, because you may be able to stretch further, but if you think, and you're stretching before the gym, or before working out, you're getting your muscles to relax, that could be a negative, right? That could be a detriment to your strength goals because you're telling your muscles, hey, take a break. And then you're going and lifting weights and trying to tell them to work again. So there's actually some studies, and I'll link those down below, that stretching before a workout can have a negative impact on your top end strength. And the connection goes back to this Golgi tendon organ that's being activated, and it's intentionally relaxing your muscles. Okay? So for me as a strength athlete, stretching before a workout is a bad idea, because even if it takes a percentage or two off of your lifting capability, that can be a percentage or two that is noticeable when you're lifting large amounts of weight. Okay, so instead, if you're going to stretch after you've gone through your strenuous workouts to get that flexibility. And that comes back to, what's the goal of stretching? It's flexibility. My perspective is, as a powerlifter, you want to be as flexible as you can in order to meet the standards of the lift that you're trying to do. So If you're squatting, you need to be flexible enough to hit depth. If you're benching, you need to be flexible enough to touch your chest and not injure yourself. If you're deadlifting, you need to be flexible enough to grab the bar and get into a proper position to deadlift. Anything extra, to me, is a waste of energy. Now, if you feel healthier by doing stretches and being more flexible, by all means. But that is just my input as a power lifter. We don't need to be any more flexible, and sometimes being less flexible can help, because if you're only just flexible enough to hit depth on a squat, you could get what's called the stretch reflex, and that's quite the opposite of the relaxation that I was talking about, where if your muscle gets extended quickly but only for a short amount of time, your Golgi tendon organ will tell that muscle to contract quickly without your brain having to do it. That's what people refer to as the stretch reflex in the whole of a squat. Or if you're benching like very violently, that's going to take that stretch reflex. And if you're less flexible, you might get some more carryover out of that. Okay, so for me personally, I do not do any stretching myself. I am flexible enough to meet the standards of the lift, but I do active warm-ups, where I'm moving and going through motions to get the blood flowing, but I never activate this, and this is kind of the key. Okay, so I will post the link to those videos of the warm-ups I like to do above. Hopefully this gave you some perspective on why maybe you should stretch, why maybe you should avoid stretching at certain times, and apply that to your training. Okay, so if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, happy lifting.